Hi, this is Chico Resch. You are listening to the Let's Go Devils podcast on the Primetime Radio Network.
Happy Devils Sunday. This is Game Day Live, coming to you live from American Whiskey, 51 Edison Place, across the street from Financial Center, next to Championship Plaza. Streaming live on Facebook Live, YouTube Live, X Live, and Twitch on the Let's Go Devils Network. I'm your host, Sam Wu, here with pucksandpitchforks.com, Vinnie Parise from Chicago, Illinois, as the Devils take on the eliminated New York Islanders. Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, wherever you are. Game 80 today at the Rock, matinee game. Lots has happened. A lot of things are going on, Vinny. I don't even know where to start, but I like to point out, and I may do this as a little trash talk tweet on X or Twitter or whatever you want to call it, that the New Jersey Devils are the only team in the Northeast of the United States that's in the playoffs.
Yep, I saw that. This is the first time in NHL history that the Pittsburgh Penguins, Boston Bruins, and New York Rangers are all missing the playoffs. And the Devils being a good enough team to make it has a little something to do with that, I would think. You could throw the Islanders in that mix because for the last half decade to a decade or so, the Islanders were a real good team. A couple, conference finals appearances. One of them went all the way to Game 7 before Tampa Bay took care of them. Now they kind of stink. They're not terrible. They had a nice little – they're actually better than I thought they were going to be coming into the year.
Yeah.
So, but the fact that the New Jersey Devils are the only team in the Northeast making the postseason is quite awesome. I wish it felt better, I wish it felt more like 2022-23, one of my all-time favorite Devils seasons. But, getting into the dance with a young group that doesn't include Jack Hughes is still an accomplishment. Hopefully they can stop the bleeding a little bit, though, here, losing 2 in a row before the postseason begins. You got 3 more chances, 80, 81, and 82.
Yeah, so you got 3 games left, New Jersey Devils. They've already secured that 3rd spot in the Metropolitan Division. It's not like they can get to the 2nd spot because Carolina, who they will play in the first round, has secured that. I think it's going to have that somewhat of preparation feel today. Right now, according to I saw Christy Flannery's tweet that Seamus Casey is out. Shimon Nemitz is in. Dougie Hamilton is warming up but will not be playing. Dougie Hamilton coming back from injury possibly by the start of the playoffs. It's time to fine-tune their game and start working their game in the next 3 games, but all that's not going to matter once the playoffs start next week.
Yeah, I mean, basically the next 3 games are seeing what they have and what the right decision would be for those postseason games against the Carolina Hurricanes. Between Nemitz and Casey, who is better suited to play against Carolina specifically? You could make the case that it's Nemitz because he's more of a stay-at-home, two-way kind of guy, where Casey's a little bit more of a riverboat gambler sometimes. I think Casey, even though he was, a little drafted a lot lower than Nemitz, his ceiling is fairly similar, or at least his floor is fairly similar. And, Nemitz was a number 2 overall pick for a reason, but it hasn't been wonderful for him this year. I know he was a little hurt to start the year. He never got truly in a rhythm. So we'll see how that goes. Getting Doug Hamilton back, though, would be absolutely huge. I know he's not playing today, but he's taking warm-ups and trying to get into, like, a routine, a playoff routine is what I was reading. So we'll see how that goes. Listen, they gave Doug the big bucks for a reason. He's been one of the most consistent defensemen in the NHL for the last, 15 years now? Little less than that. So I love the idea that he could come back and help stabilize things. The Luke Hughes that Dougie Hamilton left is not the Luke Hughes that Dougie Hamilton will return to either. So that's good news for the Devils. it's one of those things. When you get in, you could get good goaltending and maybe some offense and go do something fun. I'm not sure this is the year for the Devils or anything like that. When I watch some of those Western powers, I'm always like, I don't know who in the East is going to beat one of these junkies. But, in a game against the Islanders today, it's an opportunity to play a hard game against a team that makes it difficult to play against. And Jacob Markstrom will be the one in net to lead the way for that.
I like some of these comments coming from the YouTube Live because AJ Visco says, it doesn't matter. Nemitz' liability. And then Steve Engel writes, not when the games don't count. It's like having me play. I think that's a little harsh. I mean, I would pick Nemitz over Steve Engel any day.
Nemitz is also, 20?
Yeah.
We live in a world where, like, we don't give guys time. Because I think the Devils, they are trying to win, so it makes it harder. But, like, what happened to the true honesty of defensemen take like 250 games before they really start to reach their stride in the NHL? We used to not let defensemen play at all until they were like 24 years old. They would sit in the minors until then. Now we're chucking guys into the league right now, and they suck if they don't have 100 points by the time they play 80 games.
Well, that's what happens when you have a guy named Kel McCarr that comes in the 2017 draft and then suddenly rips it up. Everybody expects Luke Hughes to be a Kel McCarr, but to be honest with you, he's just Luke Hughes. He's doing very well right now.
And Connor McDavid and Austin Matthews did the same thing to forwards. McDusty comes into the league, and in his first 2 years, he has 100 and something points. Matthews had 40 as a rookie. He had 4 goals in his NHL debut. Then when Connor Bedard or Jack Hughes come along, or Uri Slavkovsky, these guys, if they don't have 75 points in their rookie year, they're bust. Look at what happened to Jack Hughes after some time to develop. Look at what happened to the Nate Dogg after some time to develop. Connor Bedard is on the same trajectory. He's going to be a superstar. It just didn't happen when he was 19 because that's unheard of. It'll happen again. Someone will come along and be just a weirdo at 19. Maybe it's Gavin McKenna next year. But I don't know. I think sometimes just maybe have some patience.
Yeah, have some patience, but I think it had a lot to do with that article from overseas with Nemitz. I mean, it's
for
just,
sure for him.
And you know what? And it really altered the perception. I don't know if it's a fair statement or not, but it altered the perception. But at the same time, I've heard, through sources that he just simply doesn't listen. So, again, you could take it for what it's worth. I hope the kid gets it right. This is his chance. And you know what? If he doesn't, he's not going to be playing the playoffs. It's that simple.
That's absolutely fair, Sam. It's absolutely fair.
Yeah, and I like Steve Engel's statement. I mean, right now, these games they don't mean anything. So, which I think is good for the New Jersey Devils, because if they don't mean anything, they can work on things that need to work on, regardless of the outcome. And maybe if they even lose 3 games in a row, you don't want that, but you want them to end on a high. But 3 games in a row, it's still a clean slate. And maybe, just maybe, you catch the Carolina Hurricanes by surprise, which, Vinnie, I got to ask you, I watched that Hurricanes-Rangers game yesterday. At one point, I was like, are the Hurricanes that good or are the Rangers that bad? But then again, I think goaltending could be a problem.
Yeah, listen, the Rangers are bad. They're not like one of the worst teams in the league bad, but the Hurricanes are frauds too. They're a little less fraudulent, I think, than the Devils. To the point where, like, if Markstrom got hot and Heischer and Meyer and Bratt took over a series, it wouldn't be that shocking to me. I'm not going to necessarily pick them in my bracket that I pay money for, because the Devils have been slightly worse in the second half, but it's not like the Hurricanes are like this goated team. Nobody in the Eastern Conference really is, because the Leafs are the team with the second best record, and the Washington Capitals are the team with the first best record. They've had a major, just like I thought they would, they had a come down since Ovechkin broke the record. He didn't even play yesterday. They got smoked 7-0 by Columbus. And Toronto, as good as they are, they have that demon of the first round. So if they get past that, I think they can be the team that represents the East in the Cup, but they have to get over that hump. And then you look over to the West, and it's like the East doesn't have teams like this. The East doesn't have a Winnipeg. The East doesn't have Dallas or Colorado or Vegas. How about LA and Edmonton? One of those guys is going to come out of that series and possibly make a run.
Yep.
So it's going to be interesting to see. The Hurricanes, they're fine. They're good. They're probably better than the Devils from top to bottom. But, yeah, I think a lot of Rangers bad has to do with what we saw yesterday.
Yeah, had a lot to do with it. At the same time, they did put three goals up. So, a little bit of letdown on the Carolina Hurricanes. And it was 5-3 there at one point. But once you start pulling the goalie, the empty net, the Rangers made a game of it. But at the same time, I was surprised that they were able to. Even though that they were desperate, the Carolina Hurricanes did not shut them down. And that's something to look for because, look, if the Hurricanes are up 3-0 against the Devils in the game 1 of the first round, hold your horses. They don't exactly have a very, an airtight goaltending situation right now. And I see John of JCB Architectural outside. JCB Architectural, an official sponsor of the Let's Go Devils podcast.
Is there a more important game 1 of the playoffs than Devils Hurricanes? I'm looking at every series matchup that's likely because most of them are starting to lock in a little bit. It's hard to think of it. Like Dallas will play Colorado, right? If Dallas won game 1 and then Colorado ripped off 4 straight, that wouldn't shock me. Or if they had a back-and-forth series that led to a wild game 7, that wouldn't shock me. Same thing with Los Angeles and Edmonton. I think Vegas is going to smoke whoever they play. Same thing with Winnipeg. Looking in the East, Tampa and Florida could go 1-1-1-1-1-1. Wouldn't shock me. I really think whoever wins that first game between the Devils and Carolina can really pick up some steam and gain some confidence going into the rest of the series.
I agree with you. I mean, I don't think winning game 1 is going to determine the series, but I think for the New Jersey Devils, winning game 1 will be a huge victory only because not only does it set the tone of the series, but the Devils don't have home ice advantage here. Now, but on the other part of that is the Devils are actually better on the road than they are at home. So, to me, I'm kind of looking at this series as a kind of a reverse, that they have the home ice advantage, or at least the advantage, because they just seem to be playing better on the road than at home. So if they win game 1, they have some leeway for game 3 and 4 to lose. That's the way I'm looking at it. Because I think the series may go 7.
Yeah, that would be awesome. It would be unlike what I expect coming in. I hope they make me feel better before this 3 games that they have left in the regular season are over. So I saw you mentioned someone said these are meaningless games. Are they? Are they meaningless? Are they meaningless in the standings? Yeah. Absolutely. In the standings, they're meaningless. But getting ready for the postseason is hardly meaningless in my brain only because of how lousy they've been. And had a chat about this with someone yesterday. A lot of teams turn it off when they clinch, their series is locked up, their opponent is guaranteed, whatever the case may be. It's sometimes hard for these guys to turn it back on. We've seen it with President's Trophy winners in the past. We've seen it with conference winners in the past. We've seen it with division winners in the past. There was that one year where every wild card team won their first round series. It was the year Tampa Bay had 128 points and then got smoked by Columbus in the first round. Sometimes these teams have a heart. So if Carolina, lets up in the last 3 games and are they going to be able to turn it back on? It kind of sounds like the Devils aren't taking that we're locked in, we're going to rest so-and-so type of approach. They're almost like, let's get Dougie Hamilton back in the lineup before we start. So, I don't know. It's going to be interesting. Today's game against the Islanders will be real telling.
Yeah, well, also take a look at this factor, Vinny. These players that are playing, you just hope that they don't get hurt. And I remember years ago, back in the mid-'90s or late '90s, the Devils were pretty much locked in on the first seed. And I think they played their 82nd game, and I think Dave Andrechuk got hurt and was gone for the playoffs. I think he broke an ankle, if my memory serves me correct. You can fact-check that, Vinny, because sometimes you do the fact-checking and you're like, oh, April 8th, Dave Andrechuk in 1998 broke his ankle. Actually, I don't even remember if he did or not, but I remember he got hurt. And it kind of affected everything. The only thing I can say is getting hurt is part of the game. But at the same time, I want the Devils to work on certain things, such as their penalty kill. Make sure that that's shored up, because if you have a good defense and you've got good coverage, you have a better offense as a result. Also, their transition game and just playing smart hockey. Keeping possession of the puck, the forecheck, all that kind of stuff. I want them to start working on that for the next 3 games and start to put it all together.
Dave Andrechuk, April 15th, 1997.
Are you
Gets hurt
serious?
right before the playoffs.
What did he break?
Yep.
An ankle?
Let me see. Let me see if I can.
It was leg.
show
I
reason.
think it was his leg. His ankle?
Without Stanley Cup, Jacques Lemaire, filling in void. Let's see. Fracture of his left ankle. Sunday's 5-4 loss to
Flyers.
the Philadelphia Flyers.
Wow, I actually got that?
And this article writes, the injury will have a dramatic effect on a team that finished first in the Eastern Conference and has high hopes of winning the Cup. That is from an article on the New York Times on April 15th, 1997.
And they played the Rangers in that first round, and the Rangers exploited a loophole in the NHL rulebook by challenging or actually having the replay of every Devils goal, and it's like you had a skate lace in the crease and they would call it back. I think they called back 7 or 8 goals in that series. It was disgusting.
Wow.
It was absolutely
That is nasty.
disgusting. And I believe Gretzky and Messier were both on the same team. I believe they were.
That
on the same
sounds
team.
about right.
I think he got traded from St. Louis to the New York Rangers, Wayne Gretzky. And then Gretzky left the next year, and he ruined his career by going to Vancouver.
It makes sense. Hey,
Yeah.
that memory, Sam. That memory.
Yeah. But if you ask Mrs. Wu, anything about, anything, I usually forget.
Oh, well, yeah, then you're an idiot.
Yeah. But somehow I remember that.
That's amazing. Hey, I'm the same way.
So there
I am
are
the
some
exact same
predictions. AJ Visco calling a New Jersey-Tampa Eastern Conference Finals. Well, I did make a prediction. I said 2025 was going to be the Devils' year 5 years ago. The only problem is which part of 2025? This season or next season? I'm not sure. Remains to be seen.
Yeah. Hopefully both, but not like
You want all the above? I want all the above.
Yes.
Then I'll look
Absolutely.
like a genius. Then I'll have to go back to the archives and have that one podcast on Devils After Dark. I think it was even before it was called Devils After Dark. I think it was called the Let's Go Devils podcast post game, and that's when I said it to Scotty, who now has remembered that since. I think we should get predictions right now, shouldn't we?
Yeah, let's do predictions.
Yeah, let's just get predictions. Get your predictions in for this game. Devils, Islanders. Islanders losing yesterday to the Philadelphia Flyers in a shootout, no less, right? In a shootout. They went back and forth. And then former Devil, Kyle Palmieri, with the season on line, just couldn't put it home. And then it was just like, we're out of the playoffs. Or we're not making the playoffs. We're eliminated. But right now, if you look at the standings.
Shout out to the Flyers, too. Eliminating or clinching the playoffs for the Devils and eliminating the New York Islanders. Thank you.
You know, since they fired John Tortorella, I think they're doing things right for us.
Yes. They've been on my S list a lot less.
Yeah. But, you know, watching that game, I felt the joy of watching all these teams get eliminated, especially the New York Rangers yesterday. It just felt good. Felt good. And this is an opportunity for the New Jersey Devils franchise. When there's a lot of young eyeballs right now in the Northeast, and none of these local teams in their respective areas are in the playoffs, there's only one team, and that's the New Jersey Devils. You may gain some young fans out of this because all the local teams are out. You got to take advantage of it. Throughout sports, you look at the Knicks and Nets. Nets are out of the playoffs, I believe. Knicks would be in the playoffs. But if the Knicks get bounced in the first round and the Devils keep on advancing in the New York City metro area and in the Philadelphia area, the entire Garden State, it's only the New Jersey Devils getting all the attention because of the playoffs, mixed in with the Phillies, Mets, and Yankees. But that's the time to grow the brand and grow the fan base is now. Also, look what's happening for the second wild card spot. You've got the Montreal Canadiens and the BJs, the Columbus Blue Jackets. The Blue Jackets have games in hand. That could go down to the wire as well. If the Blue Jackets, if they could somehow figure a way to beat the Washington Capitals today. Now they're on the road, which they're not a very good road team, only 12 wins on the road, Vinny. I think you would agree. We want the Columbus Blue Jackets to get in. It would be amazing.
Absolutely. Even though I think Montreal has a better chance to beat Washington in a 7-game series than Columbus.
So who's got the first seed overall in the Eastern Conference? It's Washington, right?
It's not clinched, but it's probably going to be Washington. Toronto is in the mix still. Actually, no, I'm incorrect. Washington has the Z next to their name. They have clinched the number 1 seed.
Okay.
So they will play either Montreal or Columbus.
It would have been great if it was Montreal versus Toronto in the first round. It would have been great.
Yeah, we got the next best thing, though. Toronto versus Ottawa, the Battle of Ontario. That's the next best thing.
Yeah. And not to offend any Canadians out there, but this is like an annual thing for me. It's kind of like the Dolphins' undefeated season in the NFL. But the NHL playoffs, I'm just waiting for every Canadian-based team to get knocked out. And last season, I had to wait to the last day of the season.
One of these days, Sam, they're going to get it done. It might be this year.
Yeah, I love how the politicians in Canada are like, oh, this is our game, after they beat Team USA. And it's like, yeah, your game that you can't even win the cup on your own soil. And by the way, you need to take the Hockey Hall of Fame and put it in New York City, not in some, strip mall in Toronto. That's all I have to say.
Please don't go there and say it. We like you happy and healthy. We like you not with a black eye. Just keep saying that here. Don't go say it there, Sam.
I know. I'm only trolling, guys. I don't even really mean what I say.
I think if Toronto played Edmonton in the Stanley Cup final, that would be one of the most epic Stanley Cup final matchups of all time. Matthews versus McDavid. 2 Canadian thoroughbred franchises. I mean, I'll take one up that. How about the Eastern Conference Finals, Montreal versus Toronto, and then Edmonton versus Calgary in the Western Conference Finals, in order to lead to that. It's sort of like what the bubble was during the pandemic. It was like all the Canadian teams playing each other.
That would be
Yep.
kind of cool, though.
That
It
would
would be
be.
cool.
You got Winnipeg, too, in the West to play against Edmonton in the conference finals. But getting through the Central Division is going to be tough. I can't even predict which of those three is going to do it. It's honestly it's a gauntlet. It's a gauntlet.
So Selector Boy says 4-2 Devils. AJ Visco says 5-2 Devils. Max is going with reverse psychology, 5-2 Islanders. Serve says 7-3 Devils. Patrick Waugh gets ejected from Islanders bench for abusing official. Some people call Patrick Waugh Patrick Roy. And Steve Engel sees Alejandro. That's Steve Engel. He likes to be
Take a
creeping.
cold shower.
Yeah, he likes to be creeping. All right. So what's your predictions, Vinny?
I think the Devils will beat the Islanders 4-3.
4-3.
4-3 New Jersey. I don't just go flip and pick the other team if the Devils lose 2 in a row like some people.
Because Markstrom's in net, and because the Devils are on a losing streak, and because the Devils are looking for a victory, and the Islanders played the night before, 5-2 Devils.
Ooh.
5-2 Devils. That's my prediction.
Okay.
As Joseph Lennon says, 3-1 Devs.
My plan today, it's a nice day here in Chi-Town. I think it's in the 60s. I'm going to go to the park for a picnic after the Devils game.
Oh, wow.
I would like to go to the park for a picnic in a real good mood. Okay, I want to enjoy the sun, basking in the sunlight, the nice breeze that is created here in the Midwest annually around this time of year. If the New Jersey Devils win, that breeze will just feel a little bit more nice. So let's go.
The spring
Let's
breeze.
go get it done.
The spring
Come
breeze.
on.
And I'm happy that Dougie Hamilton's coming back because I've been well resting my football voice.
Yes.
It's going to
We
get
need
crazy.
that.
It's going to get crazy here at American Whiskey once the playoffs start. You remember last season. Corbin says 8-0 Devils, by the way. You remember last season.
My guy.
Or not the season before. It was nuts.
Oh,
yeah. And I want revenge on those Carolina Hurricanes. Those Caniacs.
For sure. And people think it's just a lock every time. You think what's going to happen happens. And then the playoffs actually start, and you're like, oh, yeah, they actually have to play these games at super speed with very little ice available to them, and it becomes a lot closer than it seems going into the playoffs. So remember that.
Yeah.
Remember that.
Yep. All right, well, thank all those tuning in. We're going to have Devils After Dark. After the game, I'll be hightailing it back to the bunker. And but American Whiskey will be open after the game. Scotty of Sirius XM, Liquid Metal, and I will recap the game that was. Till next time, let's go Devils.